Hi there and welcome to the April edition of the Redden District Angling Association Fisheries Feedback. As usual, we'll be hearing from Del and the work of our fisheries team. We've had some fantastic fish submitted for our fishing photo competition, so we'll be talking about that. You'll be hearing a little bit about the exciting Kennet Hatchery project and how that's moving along. And of course we'll be looking at prospects for the coming months. So let's go straight into it. Right, Tal, so what's been happening?
Well, usual sort of trials and tribulations, sort of end of season sort of stuff, or end of sort of our season if you like. I know the lakes are still open. Friday Club, they've been out every Friday doing a sterling job. We've sort of spread our wings a little bit more now. We've done a little bit up at Cottage Lane. They've done a huge litter pick this last week's, I think it was the spring river.
National Spring Clean, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And they started down the town and basically worked their way back home, almost home to Flint anyway, and collected a whole heap of stuff. And I think it's something that the angling community in general, we've got a vested interest in trying to keep things clean, although probably 60-70% of what they're picking up isn't angling related, especially down the town. It's a good PR thing to be doing. So, well done to those guys for turning up. And, I know they have a bit of a laugh and a joke and take the mickey out of us all. So, yeah, it's a good day. So, it's done now for the year. We'll be reinstating it again come sort of late autumn. So, get yourselves down there. It's a really good day out.
So just to be clear on that, there's no Friday Club to the autumn, and that's really because we're moving into the bird nesting season.
That's it. It limits what we can do massively. As I always say, we it's not just about fishing and fisheries. It's the whole thing. It's managing our environment, and the last thing anyone wants to be doing is pulling branches out when there's birds nesting and things like that. So we say no, that's it, done. Unless something happens that we have to do, then we'll leave it for now.
So I think the message really for the members is no Friday Club for the moment. If we do decide to do a weekend work party or a specific one-off, look on our Facebook page and we'll ask people to rock up for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's clear. So what else have you been up to?
We've been electro fishing callows, Brownlee, and Wilmots. We do it most years. This is the first time we've done Wilmots, and we had a really good couple of days. To be fair, I think it was 3, maybe 4 days we've done in the end. And what's really, really encouraging is the amount of small tench we're getting. Tench that are literally 1.5 inches long.
Really?
And we're getting them across all 3 ponds, not just in Brownlee. We've been having them in Brownlee for years and years and years, but we're getting them in callows and we're even getting them in Wilmots. So, we're doing something right. If they're breeding, we're doing something right. So that's really, really, we had a good spread of species right across all sort of 3 lakes. Everything's looking healthy. It's good.
So that tench are exceptional because one, they're slow growing, 2, they're incredibly expensive, and 3, there aren't many places where they do breed. So to have them breeding in 3 ponds.
we're quite lucky around here. I know they breed in Englefield even. Many years ago, the Sailing Club decided in their wisdom that they put some straws of bales of barley straw in, and the trouble with doing that is, of course, they will break up and rot down, and we had to take some of them out. We took some out after about 2 or 3 years of being, and they were absolutely packed full of small tench. So I think we're quite lucky around here in so much as we've got the right water quality, the right sort of habitat, and they feel they can do it. But we've got to manage it. It's no, especially somewhere like Wilmots. If we leave it to its own devices, the carp will eat them. It's as simple as that. Carp will eat anything. So we've got to manage it, and we've got to sort of almost treat these as stock ponds and growing on ponds for the bigger lakes.
That's fantastic news. And what about getting ready for the new season? I understand you've been teaching Jim the joys of key cutting.
Yes, key cutting. Oh, it's a great time of the year. I don't know whose bright idea it was to go over the locks.
Yours, I seem to remember.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we do. We normally cut around about 1,600 keys a year. we've got it down to sort of, we can cut a key in about 40 seconds. However, when you're talking 1600 keys, that's a lot of seconds. So it's a bit of a sort of laborious task, shall we say. But the joys of having a young lad with you is he has to learn the hard way.
And lastly, we announced at the forum, and by the way, I forgot to say earlier, thanks to everyone that came to the Fisheries Forum at Bradfield Cricket Club. That was really successful, and we were delighted with the way it went and the feedback we got. But you were saying we're making some progress on the hatchery. Anything you want to tell people?
Yeah, the hatchery. We've managed to source a load of the kit. We've probably got about 80% of the kit now. We sourced it from a guy up in Lincoln that was packing up. So we had 2 or 3 days up there, and there's a story that I'll tell at another time because it wasn't quite plain sailing, was it, Jim? No. We managed to source about 80% of what we need for a knockdown price. It's probably saved us in the region of 10 maybe 15 grand.
Good news.
So we had a couple of days up there dismantling his hatchery. Brought it all down here in an articulated lorry. And now we're going into the really joyous task of getting planning permission. You know, I'm a bit of an optimist, and it's sort of, oh yeah, that'll be all right, we'll just do this and do that and everything will be rosy in the garden. I'm fast learning, no it's not.
Yeah, but I mean, Del, look, where are we? I mean, this was a bright bushy-tailed idea about a year ago. We're now, as you say, we've got the equipment, we've raised the funds, we've got cooperation from Newbury, Cannock Valley Fisheries, the EA, you've managed a site. Planning permission, all right, it might take a few weeks, but we're getting there, mate.
Yeah, we're certainly getting there. And, you know, credit to some of the guys on Facebook. We've actually made contact. I put an appeal out on our Facebook page for a planning consultant, because I was literally pulling what air I've got left out, trying to, you know, get round all the planning sort of stuff. And I soon realised, you know, I need somebody who knows what they're doing. And somebody stepped up to the plate. And, you know, fair play. We haven't actually done the deal yet, so I won't mention his name. But it's looking favourable, and he's going to take on, everything I can't do. Essentially, I'm going to throw a bit of money at him, and he's going to sort it all out. And hopefully, in 3 months' time, he'll say, "Ready to go, Del." But yeah, it's to be fair. 2 weeks ago, I was on the West Berks planning portal that is supposed to make our life easier. And I could have chucked a lot in. I was pacing around, and But you know, that's it. That's a downside. But it's always you've got to keep focused on the end goal. So
if we can get the Kennet back to the glory days, although you'll see some pretty glorious pictures of Kennet fish in a minute, then that'll be an effort well worth expended. So you know, thanks for all you guys are doing. It's fabulous stuff. So, our April fishing picture competition. Dale, we've talked about chub. We've been talking about chub all winter, but my God, the back end of the season, didn't we have some fish?
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, I've been a Redden District member for, 40 years, 45 years, something like that. I cannot remember a back end of the season as far as chub fishing goes like this.
No.
Absolutely incredible. I don't know whether it's all because they want to win a hat. It could be. It might have happened like this for 10 years. But we don't know about it because they didn't want to win a hat. But
well, I think there's really interesting things happening. I mean, you know, I'm really into my chub fishing in the winter, but I mean, some of these big fish from the Kennet have been exceptional. I mean, we've had Gem Fox, it's got a new PB at 7.4, and Gem has caught a lot of big chub, so for him to get a new PB, and that's a Kennet fish. Rob Walton, 7.11, that's been the fish of the season from the Kennet, hasn't it? And Rob's had some other big fish as well.
Yeah, he's had a couple. I think that's the second 7 he's had.
That's right.
And he's had I know he paired it with a barbel. I think.
And a £2 perch.
Yeah, I mean,
same day.
Wow, you know, brilliant fish. I mean, the cynic in me sort of says I think we ought to get these guys' scales sort of checked, you know, because there's a lot of 7s. You know, no, fair play to the guys. You know, that's unbelievable.
So that was a Kennet, and that ended up on a bang. Mark Urban had some more big fish, which was good to see. But on top of that, some of those fish from the Thames kept coming out, and our own Jim Stansfield, a 7.9,
exactly.
Not a bad fish.
So obviously it's not just fisheries I'm teaching him. You know, I'm actually teaching him how to fish as well. I mean, fantastic. I know him and his dad. You know, they love their chub fishing, and again, his dad will tell you a story. Next time you see Richard, ask him about the story up at Wallingford, catching chub. Yeah, well, we heard about that, and of course they claim that, Andy Dogg claims he taught them all they know. Oh, of course, Andy taught everybody. I'm sure, you know, everybody has copied Andy, or Andy has taught them. You know, definitely. 100%. No, well, we can only thank him. And moving on from chub, of course, it was nice to see Scott and Gary Prince with some good pike out of Englefield. But I think the fish that really caught your imagination and mine, it's not the greatest photo, but tell them about that grayling that Dave Nunn had. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how sort of pleased I am to see that grayling. I think it was 5 years ago now. Another one of my mad cat sort of ideas was to start stocking some grayling into the Kennet and trying to get them back into the lower river. Now, when we stock them, they're literally 3 months old and they're 1.5 inches long. Right. I mean, there are some pictures on Facebook. If you search grayling on our account, you can see them. And this is sort of that picture of that grayling just reinforces what we're going to be doing with the hatchery, because you know there isn't anything wrong with the growing on conditions within the Kennet, and that grayling shows it. So it's not just a picture of a grayling; it means so much more than that, and it's fantastic to see. But here's the interesting thing: it's from Padworth Mill. Now, very few of our members fish Padworth Mill, but it's slow, it's deep water, it's above the mill. None of those grayling was stocked there. So that grayling's either come down from above, but more likely it's gone up the fish path from Upper Benyons. Yeah, I mean, the whole grayling project 5 years ago was centred around our waters. On Upper Benyon, Upper Benyon, and well, we put some in Upper Benyon and we put the bulk into the osier bed. But since then, the whole project has evolved, and now it's the whole lower river. So up and down the whole of the lower river, we've been stocking grayling. So you know, this project has gained momentum, and these fish move around. That fish is probably moved into somewhere, and David's obviously just picked it up, you know, at the right time. And like I say, that just means so much to me. It's incredible. I can't tell you how much that means to me. Well, I can tell you now, David, you would have won the prize if it had been a slightly better photo, but it's a fabulous capture, and it shows that we've got good enough water quality in the river to sustain the new fish we're going to be putting in there from the hatchery. Because if there's one indicator species, it's the grayling. Yeah. If grayling can survive, everything else can survive. Exactly that. Yeah, and moving on to Leo Davey, I mean, wow, you know, we've said right from the outset that this isn't a fish picture, it's a fishing picture. If it was a fish picture, the grayling would have won it. Absolutely. Hands down. As soon as I saw that picture, I knew that was going to be the winner. End of. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever viewpoint you want to look at it, Leo Davies stuck that picture up of him and his granddad having a day's fishing, you know, bonding, you know, getting his granddad out, you know. I mean, how can you not make that the winner this month?
Well, I couldn't agree more. I think it's perfectly good, perfect choice. And of course, Leo has put some lovely pictures up over the course of the last 12 months. So congratulations, Leo, you win a hat. And what else?
And also you get your pick of either a coarse fishing pack or a carp fishing pack, courtesy of Rod Hutchison Bait and Tackle. Just drop us a message, tell us which one you want. Do it via Messenger or even put it just on the main page, it doesn't really matter. But let us know somehow and we'll make arrangements for you to come and pick it up.
Thanks very much, Del, and thanks to everybody who submitted their pictures on Facebook. Keep them coming in, there'll be more prizes next month. Okay, so it's time for Fishing Prospects. As ever, we're joined by our Deputy Fisheries Officer and chub fisherman, Jim Stansfield. Jim, we're not going to be talking about river fish. It's April and into May. It's still water fishing only. What would you recommend people targeting?
So for this month, I'd say it's definitely going to be the carp. Wilmots has been fishing exceptionally well recently. The sort of Tuesday Club guys have been down. They've been having bags of fish till in excess of £70. I really don't think it's going to be long until there's a £100 bag of fish had on Wilmots. And a lot of the big pits, the carp are starting to wake up now and showing. There's been carp to just shy of £50 showing at the moment, so the carp have definitely woken up.
So these are some of our bigger carp, some of our bigger known fish have already started showing this year, yeah?
Yeah, quite early on they've been starting to show, and there's plenty of guys down here fishing, and they won't tell you too much, but there's always a wet sling about to be seen.
And what about a bream? I mean, we haven't got many waters with bream, but we have got one that's particularly prolific, haven't we?
Yeah, our prolific bream water, I'd say, is definitely Sonning. Yeah, the carp guys over there, I was chatting to a couple recently back in the summer, and they said when the bream were over there spawning last year, there was absolutely big numbers of them. So that's definitely going to be worth a shout.
And what would you recommend for the bream? What pre-baiting or just rock up at the right place? What's the distance out should people fish?
I don't think you want to go too far. Up at Sonning, in the past I've heard of guys doing well. It's sort of like 60 yards out, just a nice sort of lob out there. And if you get there sort of early in the morning, definitely get a bit of bait in early on, because they can sort of, if they get on you, they can clear you out in 10 minutes and they'll be gone. So get a bit of bait in early on in the day for sure. And
as you know, I love my tench fishing. I don't try and start too early because you can get disappointed. But we all know that we've got great tench fishing in Englefield, in Pinchwood's very big fish, and in Farnham Flint, and there's a few nice fish to be had in Sonning and Whistly Mill. But when would you start a tench campaign, Jim?
So for my tench fishing, in sort of prior years, I've not sort of ever picked a date for it. What I tend to do is I sort of wait until you've got maybe 3 or 4 mornings where you're sort of waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and just check the temperature outside, and if those temperatures in the morning are over 10 degrees, first thing in the morning, if you get that consistently for a few days, I'd definitely say the tench are on the feed then. Float fishing in the edge can be brilliant for them early on in the season.
And of course we can do that now a lot more easily at Moatlands, can't we, now we've cleared all those swims?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Moatlands is definitely going to be worth a shout this year. You've got access all the way around Moatlands now. I'd say you've probably got around somewhere between 12 and 15 pegs on Moatlands at the moment. It's definitely worth a shout.
Well, let's hope we get some double figure tench to add to the £50 carp that are showing.
There'll be a few about. Go find them, people.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Okay, so that's it for this month. The weather's on the mend. The fish are starting to nose around our waters. Make sure you've renewed your rod licence. A lot of people have rod licence renewals about this time. Make sure you've got your permits in place. They're all coming up as well. And get out there. Enjoy some great fishing. It's all looking good. Tight lines, everyone.